All right, for those of you who have joined, welcome to Problems Exposed and Resolved. So this is episode 1, and the idea of this video series is to provide business owners with the right tools to deal with problems they may be experiencing. And I've chosen a very special guest for our first one because Julia helps people with an area that often is the difference between businesses surviving and not surviving in the first 5 years, and even shorter than that, 18 months, and it's critical to manage. So I'm going to let her tell you a bit about what she does, but I'm just introducing Julia Renaud, who is the Director of Money Energy Flow.
Hi, Alana. Thanks so much, and hi to all the viewers. Yeah, so that's a really interesting point you touched on. So I'm a money mentor, and I'm also a BAS agent. I've been running my own bookkeeping business for 18 years, and I've just seen over the years a lot of clients go under for purely emotional reasons. So I'm also a yoga teacher of 20 years training. So my speciality, or the thing I'm really passionate about, is this area of combining money with feeling, because it's one thing to do the data entry, like, I have bookkeepers working for me and I do BASs for people as well, enter their data, spit out a report, do all their compliance, lodge their BAS. But if a business is going kind of like this, you see them plateau or go down, and there's an emotional reason behind it as well as a practical reason. But I felt that I could never address that with my clients, so I set up Money Energy Flow purely to do that. And I basically don't take on any bookkeeping clients unless they're ready to do the energy work as well. And I have people who come to me purely for the energy work. So it's a really, really important point that you mentioned. A lot of businesses do go under in the first 5 years, and actually a lot, I would say, in the first 18 months to 3 years is critical, really critical time frame. And often business owners come into it with already carrying baggage. Like, I don't know if you've been...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so they've got... they might have been burnt by a previous business. If they're like they've done many startups, they might be carrying a lot of debt.
Yeah,
have set themselves up, so they're actually freaked out about their debt repayment. They may not have had GST registration before, and now they're upsizing and they're being registered, so they're a bit freaked out about dealing with the tax office and lots of things like that. So yeah, I encounter all sorts of problems, and sometimes it's based on something that has actually happened in their business or to them, and so they're reacting out of that space. And that's something I think that's really important for business owners, to clear that space. So whatever's happened, keep clearing it, keep going back to a space of clarity that you can act from. And it's really important. Like, I have 3 pillars, and I call them freedom, love and growth. And they're emotionally based, but you can apply them personally or to your business. So number 1 is with freedom. Yes, that's personal freedom. Do you have the freedom to fully express yourself and shine? But also, are you even open to the possibility of freedom in your business, like freedom from money struggles? Sometimes people go in with the mindset of it's going to be really tough, so they bring more hardship than they need to. Yeah. I think that's really key to actually, there's enough as, tech issues, and lots of issues you got to grapple with, marketing issues, advertising. There's enough of that already without adding your mindset blocks to it. So keeping that cup open, keeping that space open. And my first question often is I ask people, do you even believe in the concept of freedom for your business? Or are you already starting out with a preconceived idea that you're not going to make it? They want to make it, but there's a hidden message saying, oh no, actually I'm not going to make it.
Yeah, and you see people in the early days, because sometimes they are in survival mode for the first few, and then you see them, they can get stuck. And I find what often gets them stuck is they're not focused on managing the money consistently. They're not focusing on that as a consistent habit. Sometimes they're so focused on sales and marketing, which you need all 3, but at the end of the day, if you're not managing it consistently, it just can end up a mess. Like, especially from when I used to work in accounting, you'd often get people that would be so focused on tax, but that would be with their business the only thing that they would sort of focus on, and the basses, but they weren't focused on the in-between. So then they were a complete mess when it came to those times, which created stress and anxiety, and it just sometimes became a trap. I think they got stuck in.
Yeah, so I do in one of my first sessions with clients, I do what I call an energy unpack, and it's basically a guided meditation, and it sounds unusual, but it's kind of like an energy audit on the inner level. So I like them to think of themselves or their business as a bucket. Just visualize even, okay, I'm a really big bucket or container. This is my business. This is me. Because as an entrepreneur, you are your business. That's the other thing, is you're not hiding behind a big multinational or a conglomerate or whatever. You're in the front line, that you are your business. So that's very confronting for some people. So I say, imagine the bucket is you or your business. And then we go through and we just check out, where are the energy leaks? Like, has that bucket got 10 leaks coming out? And then what are those leaks? And so that from the meditation, then I can actually do an energy audit where I go through their systems. Okay, what are your bookkeeping systems like? What are your bank? It's even as basic as, what bank have you set your bank accounts up with, and are they charging you fees when they shouldn't be? It's that basic, because if you're being charged excess fees, even in one little area, that's like a little leak. And leaks, I always say to people, leaks can be big. You can feel it like a huge gush of water draining out, if you're really paying out big bills. Or it can be like a little leak, that bank fee, that extra credit card charge, a little bit week by week, month by month, but it all adds up. And so it's really interesting. I find people actually do know on an inner level. They're carrying that energy around inside them, but they haven't focused on it, as you said. So when we do that meditation and energy audit, they go, wow, they come up with the answers. That it's like, I fully trust that as the business owner, you are holding your business, the energy of it. You're holding it in your mind, you're holding it in your heart, because it is your baby. It's come from your heart. Otherwise, you wouldn't be an entrepreneur. You'd go and work for someone else. But to be in business, you're loving it. Ignore my neighbour, there's some drilling.
It's definitely true. And it's something that I'll potentially piss off a few accountants here, but I do find that accountants don't tend to focus on that side of it with people. It's more like, here's your numbers, that's your numbers, off you go. That's why I love what you do, because it really takes a person into consideration. And it's really important. And I'm finding with more and more tech, with like the online softwares and that, which are great because you can get your bank feeds, it does simplify a lot. But with more and more tech, I'm finding that accountants are kind of having less people contact. And so there's a bit more role now falling into the bookkeeper's role, if you like, a bit more falling into our lap, in that we're often left to translate to the client. I've received this email from the accountant, what does it mean? Or I've received this letter from the tax office, what does it mean? And I feel like accountants are now so busy with sort of high-end tech stuff at their end that they may not be having as much face-to-face or even phone contact with their clients. And that's where, like, I'm happy to be that person to explain to people, because sometimes it's really just a 5-minute chat. Okay, this is what that actually means. And it's as simple as they didn't understand the jargon or the terminology, and then you put it into their terms. And for me, I always break things down into a weekly figure if I can. So if they've received something and it's about an annual tax thing or something, I say, okay, well, what is that per month and what is that per week? It makes sense. Let's now look at your figures and see if that's doable. So if it's like if it's a debt repayment or a big budgeting thing, I break it down to weekly, and I feel like the human brain can hold that. It can't really hold a 12-month figure. And then the other thing is, if it's terminology, I break it down to that. And what I use, after I've done an energy audit with someone, I actually do a profiling system where I get them to fill out a really fun, quick 10-minute questionnaire. I've done it. It is awesome. It's really good. It's like, you think these things are tricky, but I firmly believe in this one. So there's 8 archetypes, and I'll go through them so people can try to nominate. That'd be awesome. It is. It's fascinating. There's the accumulator, the alchemist, the celebrity, the connector, the maverick, the nurturer, the romantic, and the ruler. And based on your quiz results, you get all 8 ranked, but really it's your top 3
that determine how you react and relate to money. So your number one is usually dominant, but your top three is, it forms what I call the money blend.
Yeah.
And so once I know a person's money blend, that gives me so much information about how to speak to them, what words to use that they will relate to and understand. And also, if I'm training them to do something, I know exactly what kind of person they are. Like at the start, I think I assumed everyone would love this software, that software, or love Excel spreadsheets or this and that. No, it's not for everyone. So I will now tailor it to what I know that person's strengths are. And I've just found that's like, wow, invaluable. And people love it.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It really is. And it's incredible to be able to understand that, because I don't think enough business owners understand how important it is to understand then you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, you know how to build on it. It makes managing your money a lot easier.
Absolutely. So, I actually, after my core 3 pillars that I go through with people, I have like a 5-step process. So the first one was obviously freedom, as we mentioned, but step 2 is actually know who you are. Yeah. So that's why we do the energy work, we do the archetypes questionnaire, we do the profiling, because what that does is it gives you real like laser-like precision into knowing exactly what you said, your strengths with money. Some people have really good talents in certain areas, your gifts, and then what areas are kind of a challenge for you or, don't feel that natural. So if that's the case, they're the areas you can either try to put energy into work on, or you can outsource, but you're outsourcing consciously as opposed to, I'm just going to get someone to do it. You're outsourcing for a reason, and you know why that is, because it's deciding, well, if I hire a specialist in this area, I can maximize my time in the areas where I'm really good. And still the bucket is being, there's no leaks, it's being sealed. Yeah. I think when people outsource unconsciously or willy-nilly, they think, I'll just get that person in. They need to know why they're doing the outsourcing before they do that. So, yeah, knowing who you are is really, really critical. I think that's just, it gives you laser-like precision. You just feel so great, actually. Yeah.
It's so important. It's important in everything, even in marketing. It's the same. You've got to, they've really got to understand, like you said, why they're getting someone. Otherwise, they're likely to make stupid, rash decisions that it can end up business obviously not surviving. So I think
and every decision you make costs you money, so you want to be making decisions where that money is really well spent.
Yeah,
it's all affecting your bottom line, and that's fine. That's what, in business, you've got to pay for things. There are expenses, but you want it really to be kind of the money being funneled into the areas that will give you a maximum return, and the stuff that you can do in-house pretty cheaply, whatever, or even hire an admin assistant do that stuff you can keep in-house. Yeah. And I think it gives people real self-acceptance, because that's another step. Once they know who they are, I work on, that's the love aspect of getting them to actually love and accept who they are, because a lot of the time we go in with this cookie cutter or, square peg, round peg mentality of this is how a business owner should look. This is how a business owner should function. These are the models we've been given, like, 2 block cube models, and I've got to fit myself into that, otherwise I'm not a real business owner. Well, that's just not the case anymore. Those models might fit some people, but they're actually pretty outdated, and they come from a way back corporate world, which was predominantly male, but not necessarily. But even the models don't fit all male, so I'm not even going to say it's a men view. The landscape has changed so much, like younger male entrepreneurs don't even fit that. They just don't. And so when you know that you don't have to fit some model that's outdated, and that you can be a highly successful business person or entrepreneur being yourself and maximizing the skills you have, I think that really unleashes a lot of energy and freedom for people when they have that level of self-acceptance, because it's true, we go into it judging how we should be behaving, and if you can let that go, sky's the limit for you.
That's true, especially with your archetypes. They are really good because there's such a wide range, so people can really work out who they are. It's important.
Yeah, and you know, I use it on myself. So everything I use with clients, I do on myself. I say to them,
That's perfect. Yeah, that's
I'm the first guinea pig, because if it doesn't work on me, I'm not going to recommend it or use it or promote it or anything. So, you know, even in the growth of my own business, I know which archetypes work for me and which ones I have to do. For example, I'm an accumulator number one, which you'd kind of expect because most accountants and bookkeepers have accumulator. And if your accountant or bookkeeper does not have accumulator in your top three, you want to get another one.
That's true. That is true.
They're really good at the nitty gritty. They look at the ins and outs. But if I ran my business solely from that level, I would never invest in the future. I would never want to expand, because accumulators are actually by nature quite cautious, and they tend to be conservative and hold back. So I've got another archetype. My number three is the ruler, and whilst it's not my dominant one, whenever I'm planning or making decisions for kind of, you know, structurally or strategic, or even, you know, booking my workshop, how many this year, venue, you know, something that's outward focused, I call on the ruler archetype, because I know that that's the one that wants to expand and have greater expression and grow. And so I just know, okay, accumulator, you've done your job. You just go off to the side. If I listen to you, I'm not going to make any, you know, expansive decisions. Okay, ruler, come on in. You make the decision. So even in my own process and my own mind, I know which ones kind of to draw. And my number two, so I'm accumulator, nurturer, then ruler. And the nurturer is a great one to have, but I have noticed both myself and other people that I've worked with who are nurturers, it's often the one that goes out of balance first. So if you're in business and you're a nurturer, chances are you kind of over deliver. And you might be underpricing yourself.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always say to nurturers, get second opinions when you're pricing your package, because by nature you're going to want to make it really cheap, and you're going to want to throw in heaps of bonuses. So you just have to remember that, as opposed to like a maverick is really good at pricing. Oh my God. Mavericks like have a nose for what the market's willing to pay, and they're not afraid to ask for it. They just ask for it.
Yeah.
And they usually get it.
Yeah, really, like for everyone that's watching, you can really see how these different types, if you don't understand these, your chance of going under in business could be very high.
Yeah.
Really critical.
Yeah. And, you know, it's even important if you're in business with your husband or partner or boyfriend, girlfriend, or, you know, even a friend, to know what their archetypes are. So I've done two couples who are in business, so him and her, and so they knew who was bouncing off who had the greatest skill set. I've done, you know, married couples. So that really gives people moving forward, okay, you're great at this, I'm great at this. We're going to know now, and we're kind of going to divvy up the jobs accordingly, and we're not going to judge each other on why you're not like me and I'm not like you, or something like that. You know, and then also picking their team, because some people say, well, what if I'm okay in who I am? And I said, well, what about your team? What kind of people do you want to attract in your business? And usually it's people that offer skills that maybe you're not strong in. Yeah. But they have to still complement who you are as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, it's definitely true with the couple thing. Like with Dave and I, we're definitely different in a little bit. Like mine's more, not take more risk, but I'll be a little bit more, well, pretty much I'll push things a lot quicker, where he's more sort of a little bit more cautious. So it kind of balances itself out, luckily. But since we've known that, it's been a lot easier to sync it together and make it progress things really rapidly. Yeah. Important.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great example of you guys working together, because actually I find that you do need a blend. Like you need someone who's like an entrepreneur, you know, a visionary. So a visionary has normally got a combination of maverick or ruler in them, that entrepreneurial blend. And you also need someone who's a good, sturdy manager. So the manager types would normally have some accumulator or some of the more grounding ones. And they're both good functions to have. And usually one person isn't both. You kind of fall in one category more than the other. Yeah. So I often think that it almost takes a team of two sometimes, you know, for great business leadership.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to, if they want to work with you or they need to work out their money archetypes, which they really should do if you haven't already,
Yeah.
what would be the best way for them to get in touch?
Well, they can email me at info@juliarenaud.com and I'll post that in the comments. The Money Archetypes quiz is going to be interactive on my website as soon. So that's been I've hired guys to code that in because I wanted it done my own way. And you will be able to get your first one for free. But in the meantime, feel free to contact me and I can email you an interactive PDF and you get the first one for free. Anyway, so that's a lot of good information to go on with. I'm also running a workshop at our place Camberwell on February the 9th, and that's a Friday. And anyone who comes to that workshop will be getting the quiz and you'll find out your archetype on the day as well. We'll be doing a lot of fun exercises actually, as well as some great content. So
That's very cheap for what it is to that event. So I recommend, if you haven't worked this out, it's probably one of the most important things you take a day out of or time out of your business and work out, because it could be the difference between having it or not. And also you've got a Facebook group as well.
Yeah, so I've got my Money Energy Flow Facebook group. I've got the business page, but feel free to join the group. So I can post all these URLs in the comments. People can join the group. They can email me. They can check out my website and they can come to the workshop.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the value you provide and letting everyone know what you offer.
You're welcome. Thank you so much
yeah,
thanks so much for interviewing me, Ilana. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.